Hi guys, so in this video Matt Hancock responds to some questions presented by a member of the Scottish National Party surrounding the R number, tracing and testing. So let's hear what they had to say.
Now head north of the border to Dr. Philippa Whitford, who is the SNP spokesperson, with 1 minute. Dr. Whitford.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The R number is close to 1 across England and may even be above that in some areas. As the R number reflects lockdown changes made a couple of weeks ago, does the Secretary of State not accept the need to assess the impact of sending people back to work and school before making further changes to lockdown? With Serco admitting their tracing system won't be fully operational until September, would he not have been better investing in public health systems instead of a private company with no expertise? Why are the test results from the commercial labs still not being sent to local GPs and public health teams to allow contact tracing? And finally, we all recognise the economic impact of lockdown. But does he not accept the worst thing for the economy would be a second wave needing a second lockdown?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Well, as a clinician, I think the Honourable Lady will recognise that taking into account all of the evidence of the rate of transmission is incredibly important. And I think that it is an error and it's wrong and it's beneath the normal standards of her questioning to focus just on one report rather than on all of the reports. And
This is a typical tactic by the Tories. They say it's beneath your standard of questioning. So in a sense, you normally have good questions, but this is a bad question. So I'm attempting to appear as I'm respectful to you in general, but on this occasion, I have a problem. This is just a pile of crap because the Tories never have any respect for the SNP. Anytime, you can watch any video, almost any video of Parliament where an SNP MP asks a question, they're treated with complete disrespect by the Tories. But anyway, so she asked this question about the R number, and he responded by saying, well, you're not looking at all of the data. You're looking at one report. So is the report that she has talked about wrong? Is the model they're using incorrect? Because if it's incorrect, then why are you still using it? He's saying you're not looking at all of the data, but if some of the data is producing wrong information, then shouldn't you stop using that data? Shouldn't it be the case that that model is no longer valid? Or is it is valid, it's just that you decided not to follow it?
I hope that when she speaks to people in Scotland and across the whole country, that she will take into account all of the evidence rather than just focus on one report. And I just urge her to do that because
it's actually in England, it's not in Scotland. So in the southwest, I think it is, there are reports and models which are showing that the R number has gone above 1. So it's not about Scotland. I know he's attempting to blame Scotland or include Scotland in this problem, but Scotland doesn't have that problem.
That is important for the public communications. The other point I'd make is
so the Tories care about public communication. Look at the fiasco surrounding the lockdown if you want to know about public communication.
That the NHS test and trace programme is being built at incredible pace. As the Prime Minister said, he committed that we would get it up and running for the 1st of June, and we've delivered that, and that it will be world-class, and we will deliver that. But we couldn't deliver it without public and private sectors working together. And I think the divisiveness that just comes through from the other side is a real mistake in these difficult times. Instead, everybody should be working together.
Okay, so he didn't want to answer the questions here. Now, it's very important to remember that when a Secretary of State or a Minister or Prime Minister or anyone who in the government who has to respond to questioning, they receive a copy of the questions before we see them on the screen or we see them in Parliament. This is not Matt Hancock answering questions on the fly. He receives these questions beforehand and he prepares his response. In this case, he doesn't have a response. It's not like he forgot what she said or he didn't hear exactly what all of the questions. No, he has made a decision not to answer some of the questions. So she asked about the R number. He gave a sort of fake answer to that. Oh yeah, well, you're not looking at all of the data. She also asked about sending people back to work during the the phasing out of the lockdown. But if the R number is above 1, then you shouldn't be sending people back to work. You even said it in your model, the colored coded model that you presented some weeks ago about, well, when we get into phase 3, then we'll start sending people back to work. But you're still in phase 4 according to your model, and you're still sending people back to school and back to work. Then of course she talked about the tracing system, but the tracing system won't be ready until September. And you're saying, yes, it's a top class, it's a fantastic tracing system. Boris Johnson said it'd be up and running. Yes, but it's not going to produce results until September. And then about the testing, he didn't even bother to answer that. She asked, why are tests being produced by a private company and not being sent to GPs? And he just said, well, we need to work with the public and private. So he didn't even bother to answer the questions. And then, of course, the last question was about the concerns of a second wave and having a second lockdown. And he didn't answer that question either. He just said, you need to have more trust in the government. How can anyone have any trust in this government? And why should the SNP have trust in the UK government? When you're saying one thing one day and you're doing something different the next day. You're telling people to do one thing and then your own chief advisor is doing something different. You're creating plans and saying you have these plans and then you don't even follow them yourself. How can anyone have any trust in you? And then once again, this is just another example of the disrespect the Tories have towards the SNP in general. And it is quite disgusting because once again, the SNP MPs are there to represent their constituents and they're asking questions, and I think these are reasonable questions. They're not unreasonable questions. And Matt Hancock can't be bothered to answer. I don't know whether it's because he doesn't know the answers, he's afraid it'll embarrass his government, or it's just because, well, they're coming from Scotland and we don't give a crap about that place. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks. Why not become a Patreon and enjoy access to our Discord server where we share news, chat, and have some fun. If you become a patron, you can also make video suggestions on topics that are important to you. Check it out via the link in the description.